The law's curses and its promises. We earlier determined that the law instructs us in perfect righteousness. It therefore follows that to keep the law fully is to be fully righteous in God's sight, since by this means a person can be counted just before his heavenly throne. That is why Moses, having proclaimed the law, unhesitatingly calls heaven and earth to witness that he has set before the Israelites life and death, good and evil. There is no denying that full obedience to the law is rewarded with eternal life, just as the Lord promised. On the other hand, we must ask whether we can fulfill the law in such a way as to be fairly confident of being saved. For what is the point of being told that by obeying the law we can expect eternal life as our reward, unless we also know that salvation is attainable by this means? Now it is precisely here that the law's weakness is revealed. Because obedience like this is found in none of us, and thus we are excluded from the promises of life, we fall under the everlasting curse. I do not merely speak of what happens, but of what must necessarily happen. Since what the law teaches far exceeds human ability, we may well gaze from afar on the promises which it contains, but we can never receive any benefit from them. Hence nothing worthwhile is achieved, except that in the process we obtain a clearer view of our misery, because all hope of salvation is denied us, and the prospect of death is revealed to us. The law itself sets before us dreadful threats, which bear down hard not simply on some of us, but collectively on all of us. They bear down on us, and with relentless severity so pursue us that we are conscious only of the law's sure curse. If, then, we look solely to the law, all we can do is lose heart, feeling dismay and despair, for by the law we are all accursed and condemned, and there is none of us who is not excluded from the bliss promised to those who keep it. Perhaps someone will ask if God delights to cheat us, for it does seem like mockery to reveal to man the hope of happiness, to invite and urge him to attain it, to promise that it has been prepared for him, and yet to close the door to it. My answer is that the law's promises were not given in vain, but that they are conditional, and can only be fulfilled for those who have accomplished all righteousness, a righteousness not to be found among men. Once we understand that they can do nothing for us unless God in his goodness freely receives us apart from our works, and once we have by faith embraced this goodness which he offers us in the gospel, these same promises, conditional as they are not vain. For then the Lord freely gives us all things, to the point where his kindness even contrives not to refuse our imperfect obedience, but by pardoning and forgiving what we lack, accepts it as good and complete. And accordingly he bestows on us the fruit of the lawful promises, as if the condition attached to them had been fulfilled. But since this question will be more fully treated when we discuss justification by faith, I will not pursue it now.